Hi there, this is Mr. Evans. In this fairly short video I'll be looking at the difference between strategic and functional decision making and how they're related to each other. So we've already covered quite a lot of this, but there is a bullet point here that you need to be aware of: the impact of strategic decision making on functional decision making. So strategic decision making is undertaken by these people here, the managers at the top of the organisation, and functional decision making, the tactics, the day-to-day way that the business is run, is undertaken by the people in the different functional areas. Okay, so you've got the people running the business, setting the long-term strategy, and then that strategy is carried out by the people in the different functional areas, making functional decisions that will contribute towards the achievement of that strategy. So who does strategic decision making? Well, strategic decision making is undertaken by the management or board of directors of a company. Functional decision making can be done by department heads or even just individuals, frontline staff within that department who are making the day-to-day decisions. They need to be aware of the strategy and they set out the tactics that are going to be used to make that strategy successful. The time frame, strategic decision making tends to be medium to long term. Functional decision making will be short term. But of course, this functional kind of day-to-day decision making contributes. It's influenced by the strategy. You know, when I'm an individual making decisions about tactics, I'll be thinking, well, how does this contribute towards achieving the strategy? So the regularity with which strategic decision making occurs may be biannually. In this context, I mean that by twice a year, maybe once every 6 months, the board of directors will get together and make decisions, or maybe it's even just annually, once a year, review the progress from last year, have a look at the strategy for next year, and we make those strategic decisions that often. Whereas functional decision making can be conducted as regularly as daily, weekly, monthly, setting the tactics that we're going to use to help contribute towards making the strategy that the organisation is following a success. So strategic decision making impacts on the functional areas and those heads of department there. The head of department, the head of marketing, the head of human resources needs to be aware of what the strategy is. You know, what's being discussed at these annual meetings, and so that they can make good decisions in their different functional areas. Functional decision making will impact on the frontline staff, the people who are actually working day to day to carry out that strategy. Who is, those people on the management board making these strategic decisions, who are they responsible to? Well, ultimately the owners and the shareholders. The people who have invested their money in the business will want to see that the strategy that the business is following is the right one to achieve the business's mission statement, because that's, after all, what they've invested in. The functional decision makers, the heads of department, and the decisions that are taken within those departments, well, they're responsible to the board of directors. If the board of directors has set a strategy and that's not being carried out by the different functional areas, then those functional areas need to be held for account, because after all, these people are getting paid money and they've been given a task, and if they're not doing that, then there needs to be some discussion of why that is and what needs to be done to make it happen. That's strategic versus functional decision making. Really important you understand the impact that strategic decision making has on functional decision makers.